This is Eric Rutan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew McKay Smith.
G'day everybody, welcome to the show. I've got a legacy episode to share with you. This chat with Einar Selvik from the outfit Wardruna. It took place back in June 2022 and I'm sharing via YouTube for the first time. Now the catalyst for the chat was the launch of a live album from the group called First Flight of the White Raven. Throughout this chat, of course, we discuss the album's merits and what makes Einar tick. Einar is a supreme talent, I must say. In addition to Wardruna, he also creates music for the Assassin's Creed video game series and has written the score for the streaming series Vikings. So here he is, Einar Selvik. I'm gonna make you laugh, giving you Norwegian. It's about 7 degrees here at the moment, which is probably about the middle of your summers or thereabouts. We are freezing our asses off, to be honest with you. You know,
all right. Yeah, it's probably warmer here then.
It could be, yeah. I don't know where it's come from. We've got an Antarctic wind that's come up, and it's we've got a few ski fields down in Victoria, New South Wales. I'm in Queensland, which is actually subtropical, but you wouldn't bloody know it at the moment.
No. Oh well, I kind of prefer the having both worlds is good. It makes you appreciate the warmth more. So
yeah, indeed, yeah. How have the Zoomers or the calls? How have the Zoomers and the interactions with journalist types been going for this album here?
Yeah, it's been going good. I sort of do it in these waves. So. So it's not too bad, and of course it's a practical way of doing it instead of me having to travel all the time, and also, doing them on tour is not a good thing either because one of the worst things for the voice is actually talking. So in between tours, I have to try and do as little of it as possible. So having these Zoom or Skype runs is very practical.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Yeah. Do you find that people understand what you're doing? Are they asking insightful and intelligent questions?
Yeah, I would say so. Of course, it's a lot of people read up, of course, and have genuine, interesting questions. Of course, for many, for a new media who haven't been speaking to me before, it's of course a lot of generic and more background, and of course I've answered those questions a couple of times, but. Or more than a couple of times, I mean. But it's necessary.
Yeah, no, I understand, yeah. I love what you're doing, by the way. It's something, I haven't heard a lot of it, to be quite frank. I certainly was familiar enough with, not you as an artist, but your music through the movies, the TV series, Vikings. I think that's magnificent. Yeah. And, it's such a great musical accompaniment to the vivid images that have been brought to screen there. So that's the first compliment that I offer you. But something else too, I've been listening to First Flight of the White Raven, this live composition that you put together. Been listening to that, and it helps me go to sleep. It's not that not that it's boring, far from it, but it sort of helps you go into that dream state. Is that feedback you've been given before?
Absolutely. Some use it. Some use it more actively. Some use it as a more meditative thing, or as you say, helps you calm down or focus down in a way. And some even use it to for work or for writing and stuff like that, because I guess it kind of gives you this it focus gives you a focus in a way, or narrows down your focus.
Well, it's beautifully recorded, though. That's the other thing. It's wonderfully recorded. I can hear everything that's going on. I don't need AirPods or what have you to listen to it. I can listen to it on my iPhone speaker as I'm drifting off. But I read somewhere too that what we hear with First Flight of the White Raven, that's actually how it was recorded. There was no overdubs in the studio afterwards or thereabouts. So was it always the plan to release a show as a special release like this? Is that why it sounds so musically perfect?
No, that was not the plan. Of course, somewhere there was a hope that if the quality was there and the energy was there, then of course that potential was there as well. I don't know. Too often I think. Well, this is a live in studio recording, basically, that we did in front of camera, what was intended to be the release concert of the Kvitravn album. It was during the pandemic, so there is basically no audience there, and I don't know. These days, or I guess it's been like that for a long time. A live recording is very often not very live. In many cases, it's a lot of auto tune and re-recordings and overdubs. And I don't know. Since there is no audience or nothing, I felt even more so the importance of. Keeping that energy of it being something more real in a way. Of course, if we had been playing shit, I would probably not have been so maybe that concept would have not been the case. But thankfully it was, and we had actually not seen each other or been in the same room together for over a year. So I think that the fact that everyone came very well prepared and the excitement of being together again, and I don't know, there was a special energy there, and I think we were able to capture that.
I think you faced some of the similar sort of challenges that Tom did with Triptychon when he did the Roadburn Festival with the Metropole Orchestra, in that if you didn't have somebody as capable as, correct me if I mispronounce her name here, Katrine. He had Safa Haraji, who really helped him deliver that and make that come to life, because that female vocal is just crucial. But how did you pick Katrine to be your muse, your female vocal muse in that respect, or have you just always worked with her?
You mean Lindy? Lindy,
was it? Okay, sorry.
She's actually the first time I heard her was before I even started working with Wardruna, and I don't know, she has that. She has a background or a heritage as a Sami, indigenous.
Finland.
Or Norway, Sweden, and Finland. You have these people, and her heritage comes from there, and you really hear it in her voice as well. And so, first time I heard her, I just knew that at some point I need to have her to be part of this project, and that I at that time had started envisioning. So a few years after, when I was had started doing the first recordings, I approached her and invited her to join, and the rest is history, I guess. But I don't know, she is just such a force of nature, and you never really know what you're going to get. You know, you can plan to a certain degree when we work creatively, but it's always wise to just leave the recording going and give her space, because I don't know, she has a very unique unique vocal style and unique take on music in general. So she's a very important part of the creative process. Yeah, very thankful to have her. Of course, Katrine is also a good addition to have. She does the backing vocals, and this first flight of the White Raven recording is actually her first ever performance with us. So.
Well, both do a magnificent job. Yeah. That's the one thing that struck me is that, gosh, this is a live recording, is it? I mean, if you told me it was, I understand it was live in studio. I get all of that, but you're still performing it all at the same time. You're not stopping and going back and doing all the usual shenanigans that happen in a bloody studio. You got to go through it all. So were there just hours of rehearsals to prepare for this?
No, actually not. Like I said, when we came into studio, that was our first meeting. We all came very well prepared. There was one day of pre-production, but all of us weren't present. And so when we started doing it, we basically did one test run, and then we played through. And sometimes we did it twice. So we had two different versions to choose from. Also, in terms of this was a multi-camera production as well. So the camera people needed their best shot as well. So we did play through it twice in most cases with each song, and then a third time for like extra camera takes, basically.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. Yeah. Hey, when you're composing, though, for Wardruna, I know you've got so much going on. You're also a black metal drummer. That's another thing. That's certainly where I think my awareness of you came about was wasn't Gehenna, sorry, it was Gorgoroth, wasn't it? But when you're composing music, when you're in those very early stages of composition, even when you've got a melody in your head and you're just thinking, where will this land? Do you have to choose early that it becomes either Wardruna, one of the Assassin's Creed, for the video game, or even the Viking soundtrack?
That totally depends. When I'm working working on a Wardruna album, I sort of block out everything else, and my focus is very much there, and I immediately hear when a song or an idea has the potential of being there, So to answer your question, I immediately hear when where to put it, and of course, music for Assassin's Creed. With that project, I worked with a totally different parameter that was more locked into a specific time period, which meant I had to be stricter in terms of what kind of instrumentation I chose and so on. That had a more of a fixed concept in terms of my instrumentation, but also in terms of the thematics, the lyrical content, and so on. Whereas with Wardruna, I'm more free. I don't. For me, it's not about trying to replicate music from any specific time period. I use instrumentation that goes from Stone Age through Bronze Age, Migration period, Viking Age, medieval times, and even modern input. So it's much more free, and it's basically the themes themselves that define the instrumental needs, where I record, when I record, what state I'm in when I record, and so on. That is sort of the core quality or core creative concept of Wardruna, that it is actually the themes themselves that define all of these parameters of which how I record and what tools I use.
Yeah. Well, you clearly have a deep and what I'd say is a spiritual connection with your Norwegian heritage and that part of Scandinavia. What was the catalyst for you to embrace the culture and the rich and meaningful manner in which you do?
Well, I actually don't. I don't know. It's or of course I know, but I guess there are many reasons for it. It's something I've always carried with me. I grew up with being exposed to a lot of history, and so I got a sense of it, sense of place in history, and so when I started to get these, to sort of find my own interests for these things and these traditions, when as a young teenager, I realized that a lot of these older these things that I had been exposed to as a child, they were still there, and so even though my and also musically, I grew up with a lot of traditional music and historical music as well. So it's always been there. So even though I was working with various metal projects and so on, when I came into my early 20s, I was sort of done with that part and had the need to do something that was more in line with my own interest and passion and heart. So and this idea of doing a project like Wardruna had been brewing for a few years. So I basically, it was kind of born out of a need, both a personal need to do something I had a real passion for, but also, I don't know, the void of there being music like this, where the themes were themes and traditions were interpreted more on their own premises rather than just having borrowing small elements here and there, whether it's music or lyrics or imagery, which you find in both traditional music, world music, and metal music, for that part, that there were elements of the old traditions there. But my vision was more doing it with both hands, more on their own premises. So that it was kind of born out of a need, both a personal one and the lack of there being such a project.
Yeah, no, I'm hearing you. Yeah. Hey, have you had to? I've spoken to Shriegel from LVD about this topic, but have you had to deal with those idiots who accuse artists such as yourself, who dive into your rich heritage, Norwegian heritage, European heritage? Have you had to deal with those idiots that accuse you of being a white nationalist or a Nazi or any of that bullshit?
Only on a few occasions, because I've been very outspoken. Here in Norway after World War II, working with like the runes and certain symbols and parts of that tradition has been a very touchy subject, especially after World War II. So when you do such a thing like I did, you automatically have to defend yourself or prove that that this is a serious project. We're not political. It's about something else. And so that is something I basically had to do from day one. Not that it was ever like a focus, but I was put in the spot where I had to defend my work, and that was kind of not a problem. So I think even though certain people have from time to time there has been these silly accusations. I don't know. you can just Google me and Wardruna and that theme, and I think you won't have any trouble finding hundreds of statements of me telling where I stand politically. So it has never really been an issue. But of course, there are people who want you to do this and that, and there has been also threats, from the extreme left, where they sort of want to. If you don't do this and don't do that, we're gonna do a campaign on you. But I don't know. I don't give a shit. I do my thing. And
no, they're just cowards, mate. They're just cowards hiding behind keyboards.
Yeah, I have to say the threats go both ways, and I don't have a need to defend myself for these things. People know where I stand and where we stand.
Well, you've got an extraordinary talent with your compositional talents. I mean, in a past life, you must have been, spent years in Austria or in Vienna or something like that, because you've just got this wonderful gift at the moment, which you're bringing to people, and it is making a difference for people. I hope you know that. No doubt you get that feedback. It's music that I love to listen to in the still of the night. It helps me go from here when I've been working on the laptop too much with the job down to about here, and I'm sure that's like that for a lot of people.
Thank you so much for that. And it is truly special to see that so many people are connecting to the music on a personal level. That, of course, means a lot. If it's like the best one can hope for, that people connect to it and find inspiration within the art. So it's wonderful.
I'd love to see you down here. I don't know whether that could ever happen, but you'd have an audience here.
Yeah, I know, and it is something that I definitely see it in the pipeline, and
wonderful.
At some point we'll definitely come down, come and visit down under.
We look forward to that day, mate. You're very welcome to come down whenever you want. There's certainly going to be a crowd there for you. So, look, congratulations on everything thus far. Long may you continue to compose such beautifully orchestral and with this wonderful Norwegian and Scandinavian narrative that you've got there. It's a joy to listen to.
Thank you so much, sir.
Well, there he is, Einar Selvik from the group Wardruna. Thanks for listening. I hope you like reading, because I've written a book. Go across to scarsandguitars.com, click on the link in the banner, and you'll be taken to a marketplace of your choice. You know the rest. You know what to do from there. Buy it or don't, I don't mind, but at least you can download a sample. If you do purchase it, though, hit me up, because I want to thank you personally, as plenty of you have already... Well, hardly anybody's hit me up to let me know they've bought it, but people have bought it, so I appreciate it. All right, there's some more information to share with you about the book in the sec, but before we get to that, I'll bid you a fond farewell. My name is Andrew Mackay-Smith. I'm the host of this Scars and Guitars podcast series. Until next time, it's a goodbye for now.
This is Eric Rattan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew Mackay-Smith.
I've been the host of the Scars and Guitars podcast since 2017. The first musician I interviewed for the show was David Vincent from Morbid Angel, and things have just snowballed from there. In all, I've posted almost 650 podcast episodes featuring conversations with many of the leading lights of rock, heavy metal, and beyond. It just got to a point where I thought, I need to write a book about all this, so that's exactly what I did. In Scars and Guitars Volume 1, you'll read a heap of deep reveals and commentary, such as Des Fafara talking about Coal Chamber and why the band will never return.
You know, if you're a band just starting out, you need to hear me. Do not start a band with partners. Ever.
Yeah, wise words there. Sage advice, mate, for anybody.
Don't ever, because I can't go do Coal Chamber right now unless I get others involved.
Phil Anselmo talks about the episode in his career which gives him the greatest sense of accomplishment.
I think the staying power of the fans and the staying power of the songs, whether it's Pantera, Down, or Superjoint, the fans remember the songs.
Alex Skolnick from Testament confirms that, yes, playing the guitar in Ozzy's band is anything but an ordinary gig. Will Silent Oz from Dimmu Borgir write a book? Pa from Sabaton gives advice to people who want to start a band.
Look at the team around you, look at the bandmates. If the guys want to be on the stage, then it's all cool. If the guys want to be backstage, then it's not going to be cool.
Current and former members of Cradle of Filth discuss the band's seminal 90s material. Read about the reaction to George Lynch and Mark from Suicide Silence's comments when they throw shade at then President Donald Trump.
We have this idiotic monster, this egotistical, self-aggrandizing, complete piece of shit in there. I just can't understand how we've gotten to this place.
And yeah, we kicked a hornet's nest with Sepultura. Percussive overlord Gene Hoglan talks about recording with Chuck Schuldiner.
Chuck was always, he was very open-minded, and he was into having his musicians that were playing with him just reach out for the best stuff that they had.
Phil Campbell from Motorhead discusses what it takes to get sober. John Five answers his critics who dismiss his tenure with Marilyn Manson.
My name is John Five, and Manson gave me that name, and I had some of the best years of my life in that band and learned a lot.
And we get the lowdown on Treyarch Zagtoth from those who would know, including his mother. All across Scars and Guitars Volume 1, there are moments of tension, relief, tragedy, exhilaration, and throughout it all, you'll obtain insight that I believe no one else has managed to obtain from many of your favourite artists. So treat yourself. Scars and Guitars Volume 1 is currently available as an ebook with a print edition on the horizon. Follow the links attached and download a sample. I'm sure you'll be compelled to read the whole book.